City of Stevens Point Board of Public Works meeting, recorded November 12, 2024.
It's 6 o'clock. We'll call the regular meeting of the Board of Public Works to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Sure. Mayor Wiesa.
Here.
Alder Kiemer.
Here.
Chris Tiffany.
Here.
Alder Kneebone.
Here.
Alder Morrow. He's not here, huh?
And I know he's coming because I talked to him earlier today.
Okay. Alder Shuda.
Here.
And Alder Bruzy.
Here.
Yeah, keep an eye out because we'll call it the Morrow Minute. He's always like a minute or two late. Item number 1 is the director's report. Director, report.
All right, thank you. Just a few things. First, related to the 2024 street improvement project, the Northside project. Just want to reiterate what I have identified in here over the past few months, kind of going back and forth on what the schedule is like. And really to no fault of the contractor themselves, they will be unable to finish this year. So what is under construction currently right now will be wrapped up for this year, but 2 blocks there. So Georgia, everything to the west will resume in the spring. They do assure us that what is currently under construction will be completed. I think the weather is in our favor. American Asphalt is committed to getting it done. So I think all their subs are working hard to get everything completed. We should start seeing asphalt go down later this week. But just, I guess, be aware that the total project will not be completed this year.
Director, as long as you're doing that, just for the sake of those folks watching, because I know there's been some questions, how will plowing be affected by an incomplete project?
That's one of the things when we work with the contractor to make sure that they tidy up things. So sometimes they'll put in a little additional work that they didn't plan for just to make sure that we have that issue. So in areas where maybe the curb is torn out and they don't have an opportunity to put that, they'll put in temporary curbing and stuff like that to make sure we don't tear up, lawns or go beyond the edge of the pavement. So they'll otherwise patch that out. So nothing will be left in gravel. Everything will be paved. So it really shouldn't impact that. And that's one of the reasons when we work with the contractor on finishing projects, we do give some consideration to how much work can they complete to make sure we don't end up in an area where there isn't sidewalk and you're asked to shovel a gravel pad or we're plowing on gravel and stuff. So everything that is worked on will be to hard surface before the snow flies.
Thank you. Just trying to save Alder Broderick some phone calls.
The next time I had was West River Drive. Just a quick update here, really to let everyone know about a public informational meeting. I was just on a phone call with AECom today. What we're tentatively, and I'll say tentatively, so looking forward to be that week of December 9th, most likely the December 10th. For a public informational meeting to kind of kick off that. I know it's been a little while since we started. We have some initial data gathered, and we're sending that off to AECom now, and then they will come and we'll have more of a, I guess I would consider it more of a listening session with the public, exchange of ideas and stuff to really get AECom going on more of the analysis component, where then they can put together kind of a roadmap to maybe what the future of West River Drive will be. So for those that live in that general area, they should receive a letter from us indicating that. For those maybe watch the press releases, we'll be getting a press release out that if you're interested, of course, everyone is welcome to come and offer their opinion and thoughts. And lastly, Michigan Avenue Underpass. This is a project that's tentatively slated for 26. Nothing's been budgeted that far out, but we're looking to otherwise do some under-drain repair, which is going to require us to tear up the asphalt and the concrete pavement there. We are having a public informational meeting on that next week, Tuesday, 6 o'clock, right here, and looking for input on what that road should be, as we've had a number of comments regarding what to do with the extra pavement. Some people haven't liked it since we put the bike lanes in and converted it. So we're just looking for anyone's and everyone's opinion on maybe what that road service should be, as we have to tear it out anyways, and what we'll actually put back. And that will kind of kick that project off to get some planning done for hopefully a 26 project to repair the under drain, which then hopefully will keep the pavement from continuing to break up.
Thank you. One last thing, I know you didn't touch on it yet, but there is a public information meeting coming out about the 2025 project on Washington Avenue.
Yes.
When and where is that?
That is actually this Thursday, and that will be at the Streets Garage, also starting at 6 o'clock. So the Streets Garage is on Bucol Park, 106th Avenue.
All righty. Thank you. Any questions for the director on his report? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to accept the report and place it on file.
So moved.
Thank you. I missed who that was. It was Shuda and Morrow. All right, Shuda and Morrow, great. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that's approved. Item number 2 is approval of an ordinance amendment for section 9.05 as they relate to parking. Every month we have something. Director?
Every month, yes, we typically have something. In this particular case, this was a specific request coming out of Washington School related to some issues that they've been experiencing there regarding drop-off, pickup, other parking, and of course with the buses as well, in addition to just the parent, pickup. So they're just asking for a few changes, some clarifications to what they otherwise have, elimination of some of the allowed parking during the school day, just to make sure that the areas are available for buses at the end of the day.
Questions for the director? If not, you know what to do.
I'll so move since it's my district, sure.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Sure.
Seconded by Kneebone. Discussion. Comments from the audience?
Just out of curiosity, how many parking spots would be changing, or how much?
I don't honestly have a number of
Looking at the map, we're probably talking about,
spots, but it's that, because really what changes so much is
Right
the
here to the corner, right?
2-hour parking, yes, from where otherwise as it's shown there, the repeal of 2-hour parking, that part of the moves, and then the no parking during school hours extends from that point just shown on the line, if you do have a map, all the way up to Jordan.
Got it, okay.
Any comments from the audience? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved. Item number 3 is to approve the ordinance amendment for Chapter 9, Section 9.02 and 9.06 as they relate to speed limits and traffic signs. Director?
Thank you. I'll do this in reverse order of how the memo is written. The first one, these are both related to the reconstruct projects for the year. The first one touched on is the Southside project, which is just the addition of a couple of stop signs where we realigned the intersections at Mason and Park. And we added redefined, I said, more so the driveway off to the wastewater treatment plant. So it looks much more like an intersection, full intersection these days. So to eliminate some of the confusion, we're adding a stop sign there, and then following that with potentially one at Park Street as well, just to be consistent. The other half of the ordinance amendments are related to the mini roundabout at Second Maria, which should be opening up soon. Is just the necessary yield and speed limit in the circulatory way.
Thank you. The question that I had received was, where does that 15 miles per hour start? It's 15 miles an hour in the roundabout, but you have to be at 15 miles an hour when you, start turning to the right?
Essentially, yes. The technical part is there is, if you look at it, there is the circulatory way, which is, that center area that you could drive around there. So you just need to be doing 15 by the time you enter into that.
Okay. And that'll be signed appropriately?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Because that was the biggest concern is, do you have to be, is there a spot before the roundabout you have to be 15 miles an hour? And that was the question that they had for me, so, okay. Questions, comments, or a motion there? Yes.
I'll motion to approve. I did have one quick question, too.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Tiffany. Go ahead, Alderperson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a question. Based on the map on page 12, it shows that a no parking slot will be repealed. I wasn't sure if there's just nowhere to park now, or if it's
That's really just a cleanup. We don't necessarily know the history of why the no parking, but because there's really not any place to park there anymore, because you would actually be inside the area with the splitter island.
Okay.
I'd like to at least very obvious that it's not a place that one should be parking.
Sure.
And then there's the driveway right there for Kent's. So there really isn't a space there. We wouldn't anticipate there be a reason to sign that. I guess if it becomes a problem, I'll be back.
Sounds good.
Okay.
There's no parking allowed in the mini roundabout?
No.
Inside you can, because, it doesn't say no parking. No, you cannot. Any other questions? Comments from the audience?
Thank you to clarify that you cannot park in the roundabout.
And I'll restate that again. You
Thank you.
cannot park in a roundabout.
Thank you.
legally. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved. Item number 4 is ordinance amendment to Chapter 9.05 as they relate to permitted parking.
So we've had several requests come in, both from the Central Transportation as well as the Police Department, mostly from students looking for places to park long-term. So we've already added the permitted parking, expanded it once, I believe, already within this lot. So we're looking to expand it again the third time, using otherwise few more, trying to be a little bit more aggressive with the number of calls I'm told that are coming in. We feel we're going to fill up. So we're going to add 10 spots that will match the existing one, which will be year-round permitted parking. And then I forget the number, oh, I guess you didn't put this on, I think it's 30. It's in the ordinance. 38, wherever the ordinance is. For some reason it doesn't seem to, there it is, 38, which would otherwise just be essentially during the school year. I'd definitely be open if someone doesn't like the wording we have and wants to clarify it to that. That's what we came up with. It was kind of a last minute, had to get into the agenda packet, so I mean, it didn't have a ton of thought. We just grabbed some dates and went with it. But if you have a different opinion of what it should be, with the intent there is to make sure we're not occupying much of that lot throughout the summer when there are other activities and stuff. Want to make sure that there are spots available for those that are active downtown.
The only thing that comes into play, Director, and I think I mentioned this before, was Labor Day, there is Jazz Fest at Piffner Park, and then sometime after that, there is usually the Art in the Park. That lot could get heavily used, but there are other parking spots, parking areas available, so I don't know that it'll be that much of an issue. Thoughts, comments, or a motion?
I'll move approval.
Thank you.
I second.
Seconded by Boozy. Discussion. Comments from the audience? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved. Item number 5 is an update regarding the closure of the Park Street Railroad crossing. Some of you, hopefully all of you, remember this request from Canadian National. Director?
Yes, just wanted to otherwise follow up. I've had a bit of correspondence with the Office of Commissioner of Railroads as well as the Regional Railroad Coordinator, and I'll just kind of summarize. I started on a memo and it kind of got convoluted and I couldn't even understand what I was writing, so I thought maybe just best at this point in time, because we're really not under a lot of pressure as far as timeline, as long as we continue to talk about it if there is anything to talk about. I just wanted to update that. So I know one of the things that was brought up last time was a 4-quadrant gate. If you remember, we're talking about right now, there's just the 2 quadrants that come across on the travel lanes. To do that, both OCR, Office of Commissioner of Railroads, and the regional coordinator did investigate that a little bit, kind of on our behalf. What they really came up with is, although it could be done, I think there was a concern over the cost of the improvement to do so. And the Office of Commissioner of Railroads estimated it to be about $900,000, which would be borne by the city. And that would also need to be in the other sticker to the whole thing, is that also needs to be essentially approved by the Office of Commissioner of Railroads, and of course CN would be able to weigh in on that. And the reason being is that the cost of maintenance after the installation, if we were going to move in that direction, the cost of continued maintenance falls 75% on the rail, so CN, and 25% from the state. So the Office of Commissioner of Railroads would have to weigh in on that to think whether they thought that ongoing maintenance and costs would be worth it in the long run, without otherwise saying what it is. But I would say if I was reading the tone correctly, I didn't think it sounded very promising that could otherwise happen. But it is a possibility if we wanted to go that route and investigate that further. The other issues, I guess, that were kind of clarified in part for me is that some of the criteria that they utilize in evaluating these things, which I wasn't even aware of at the time, is that they will look at other crossings within 1,000 feet, which there are 2, to otherwise be there, and see how the others work. So part of it is one to consider the closure, yet it's also kind of in part looked at due to the proximity of the other 2 as a more consolidation of what it is. And the criteria that they essentially utilize within that is if the mean reroute traffic volume of that, the trip length exceeds 2.5 miles then that would raise a red flag that they would then reconsider. Considering we have 2 crossings within a stone's throw, clearly we won't make that criteria. So to be honest with you, though nothing was otherwise said, it doesn't really look to be favoring us well as far as the future of what that crossing may be. We still have some time to make another decision or change or approach if we want to look at other safety features that could possibly be implemented to keep it open. And again, not that anyone otherwise said this is what they're planning to do, but the final word that was essentially told is that if we wanted to continue without moving forward towards a closure, or at least come to the table and talk about that, is that the best way they could describe it to me was thinking of it more like litigating a defense, is to get together your story. What is your defense as far as what are the implications of closing this? And then you would present that to the Office of Commissioner of Railroads at some future date. And then they would just essentially make the call based upon what those arguments are versus the safety, what CN might otherwise be arguing for versus what the city says. But if you do that, this is what's otherwise going to happen. So the question really becomes is what is our defense if we wanted to move forward with it? So that's really more so food for thought. I don't expect anyone to have an answer today, but that's something that we're thinking internally at staff. I know we've talked about it at staff meetings, directors, things like that, to try to get some thoughts, out there and get the wheels otherwise turning. So that's really what I know in regards to that. So, and I put it as an action. I don't know if anyone has action otherwise to do so. I don't specifically have an action.
I do have a rhetorical question for you. You said the Office of the Railroad Commissioners has to weigh in on the closing because if it's less than 2.5 miles, it doesn't affect anybody. But when a train is blocking an intersection for more than 20 minutes and I don't know, let's say a fire truck or an ambulance or a police car needs to get through, and we've repeatedly asked them to make some accommodations. Does the Office of the Railroad Commissioner review those too?
To be honest with that,
Someone's dying on the other side of those
but
tracks and I can't get there because you won't move your train?
That I don't have an answer for.
Legitimate
talk about that
comments,
next
though. Well, no, that's legitimate, too. But I asked the police chief to reach out to CN and get some actual incident data. I'll provide that to everybody. If I remember correctly, there was one documented incident in over 5 years. Of course, there was a lot of, I think I'm going to paraphrase some of the email. Well, there's a lot of other incidents that happen all the time, but they don't go get reported. So let's look at actual facts when we're making this decision, and I'll make sure that the police chief forwards his data, that email, onto not only the members here, but all of the Common Council. Heck, maybe the media would be interested in that, too. Any comments for the director? Listen, I'm not going to beat around the bush. The railroad's had this for years. We've asked them for all sorts of things, and literally life-saving measures that we get, oh, sorry, not our problem. So,
So they'll let us horse trade on
Paraphrasing there,
this,
too.
right?
What's that?
We can horse trade on this deal, right? Like, they'll fix a bridge,
No, in the end, we're probably going to do it, but we don't have to lay over and comply either.
Right.
We can make sure that, maybe the Office of Railroad Commissioners understands our concerns and how serious some of those things are.
Absolutely.
Anything else? If not, our agenda is exhausted and we are adjourned at 6:18.